Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank Mr. Brady for his work. Mr. Speaker, we are minutes away from voting on a $5 trillion, more than 2,000-page bill. The House is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
Suspend. Gentleman's recognized.
A bill that the White House Chief of Staff recently bragged is twice as big in real dollars as the New Deal was. Mr. Speaker, I just listened to Congressman Neal to build up the institutions. I've heard that in a lot of different countries that are a different philosophy than America. Let that sink in for 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, the House is not in order.
Gentleman will suspend. Gentleman's recognized.
Let that sink in. More than 2,000 pages, $5 trillion, twice as big in real dollars as the New Deal was. Let me be clear. Never in American history has so much been spent at one time. At one time. Never in American history will so many taxes be raised and so much borrowing be needed to pay for all this reckless spending. I listened to my friend Steny Hoyer earlier. He started his speech by stating this date, because this is the date he's going to tell his children's children where he spent all that money. Every page of all this new Washington spending will be paid for or borrowed from you, the American hardworking taxpayer. Every page of this new Washington spending supports more waste, more fraud, more abuse, and more corruption. And every page of this new Washington spending shows just how irresponsible and out of touch the Democrats are to the challenges that America faces today. Nowhere in 2,000 pages and $5 trillion in spending are measures for more efficiency, better results, or just genuine accountability. This is the single most reckless and irresponsible spending bill in our nation's history.
Amen. Mr. Speaker, the House is not in order.
Suspend.
It's all right, I got all night. Some of its effects will be quickly felt, others not for a few years. But I guarantee you that no matter the time frame, all the new Washington spending in this bill is only the beginning of disaster being thrust upon us. This year, Washington has reached the highest level of sustained federal spending since World War II. That's this Congress' history. It took 4 years and $4.1 trillion to win World War II in dollar terms. It was the most expensive war in history. By contrast, in the fiscal year we just finished, Washington, under one-party rule, has spent $6.8 trillion. And that's on top of the trillions of dollars Congress spent the year before in the heart of the pandemic to offer relief to struggling Americans. Today, House Democrats want to pass more wasteful, unnecessary spending by Washington. The American people obviously know this bill won't cost $0. Mr. Speaker, I wonder why people waited for the CBO score. They've said it costs more, but still want to vote for it. The CBO score says in 5 years it's going to cost $800 billion. In 10, more than 357. That's what your children's children will have to pay. And they'll mark this day that it happened. We know it means more crushing debt for the 330 million Americans and generations to come. The Democrats are showing once again that they are not focused on the financial health and well-being of the citizens of our economy. Instead, Democrats are focused on themselves, their lobbyists, and their special interest group. If I sound angry, I am.
Gentleman's recognized.
I don't think the generations will laugh at the spending of what you do tonight. I don't think they'll laugh about the continuing inflation you will create. I don't think they'll laugh about $1 going to support or defend the border. I do not think they'll laugh at the benefit that China will get from this bill. It is clear to us that this bill is wrong on the merits, and they have responded with a single word the American public have said: enough. Enough with Washington waste, enough with fraud, Washington abuse, and Washington corruption. Enough with higher taxes, higher prices, and higher borrowing. Simply enough. Today, millions of Americans are struggling with higher energy costs, higher grocery prices, and higher crime. This isn't politics, as the Democrats claim. This is real life in America today under one-party rule in 1 year. When our country doesn't have the resources or won't commit them to fund the basic needs of our citizen, like basic human security, nothing else matters. And yet at this very moment, the Democrats are preparing to go on yet another unnecessary spending binge. Then in a couple weeks, they'll have the audacity to ask Congress to raise the debt limit, to borrow more on the overspending. I look forward to that debate as well. My colleagues on the other side often say that what Washington borrows and spends doesn't matter, that the lessons of history don't apply here. They also said the bill wouldn't cost money. Those Democrats are wrong, plain and simple. Spending your money that we do not have on programs you do not want is not the solution. In fact, it's the problem with Washington. And it's getting worse every single day one-party rule is in this city. So many Democrats refuse to fund our police. So many Democrats refuse to fund genuine security at our borders. They only want to spend your tax dollars on programs that benefit them politically. As the leader of the Republicans in the House, I say on behalf of the tens of millions of citizens we proudly represent, enough already. My principle is simple. Don't spend what you don't have, and certainly on what you don't want and need. And my fellow Americans, we don't have trillions of dollars to spend on programs that will never go away. The American people understand what this out-of-control spending will do, because they felt it from your very first bill you passed. You created inflation. But the first thing that was said, it's just temporary. Our own president said he doesn't know of any economist that's worried about inflation. Go to the grocery store. Just stand in line at your gas station. Just talk to one of your constituents. They'll tell you, because they feel it every single day. The American people understand what will happen. They understand because they live it in their own lives responsibly, because they set priorities, and because they live within their means. If they do it every day, why can't Washington? Why can't Washington ever say no? Many of you said you were going to say no. You couldn't vote for it until you got the CBO score because you wanted to hold them accountable that it couldn't cost money. You got the CBO score. It cost $800 billion in the first 5 years. What are you going to say to your constituents when they ask you that question of why you held it up? Why did you want the paper then? Why did you want to know? Math is hard, I guess. But make no mistake, overspending is just the start of how this bill is so completely out of touch with the needs of our people. Its destructive policies should also alarm every single American. I think we should talk about that. Since we debated all during the day, but a new bill came tonight. But you let us have 20 minutes, 10 minutes on each side to further that debate. Much of that was to pat yourselves on the back. In my remarks, I'll go through each of these provisions in more detail. But first, let me tell you why I oppose this bill. It will crush American industries. It will destroy countless American jobs, more than have already been shut down while you destroyed American energy independence and rely on OPEC. And as the price of gas goes higher, I hear from the White House, that might be a good thing. Mr. Speaker, you're from my home state. We're both from California. $4.50 is the average. You and I drive past those gas stations. We see them even higher than $5. You know who that hurts the most? The hardest working Americans. That was driven by much of the policies from this administration. You know, I heard my good friend, Steny Hoyer, and he is my friend, and we disagree. But we disagree respectfully. And there's something I disagree that you said earlier, Steny. You said we can't go back to where we were before the pandemic. I want to go back when we didn't have inflation. I want to go back when the border was secure. I want to go back when I didn't pay $4.50 for gas. I want to go back to where people were employed. I want to go back to when we didn't have Americans held hostage in Afghanistan. I want to go back to when we were respected around the world. I want to go back to when we didn't have North Korea testing nuclear weapons. I want to go back to when China wasn't flying over Taiwan every day and threatening and rattling. And when China would not offend us on our own soil. I want to go back to when Russia didn't have thousands of their troops along the Ukraine border. Yeah, I want to go back. Because if we go forward with this bill, we won't have the resources for the things we need. I want to go back to when we didn't catch those on the terrorist watch list coming across our border. Yeah, I think if you simply read the polls, America wants to go back. If you listened to last 2 Tuesdays ago, I think they said they want to go forward, but back to what they knew, the policies that worked. You know, history sometimes repeats itself. I wasn't here 33 years. I don't know if I was old enough 33 years ago to run. But I was here in 2010. I watched the wake-up call in Virginia and New Jersey, and I watched this exact same speaker 4 days later walk the Democratic members right down here and pass Obamacare and lose 63 seats. I wondered why she wouldn't wake up to what the American people said. He just got a bigger wake-up call in Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Minneapolis, where this body of the majority championed defunding the police. They said no. In Seattle, yes, I say Seattle, they had elected a Republican and the city attorney that believes in law and order. New Jersey, we got good news and bad news out of New Jersey. I hope you listen to the good news. Did you hear about a guy who's never run before? He was just a truck driver. He's a Republican. He spent less than $200, and he defeated the second most powerful politician that happened to be a Democrat in the Senate, the president of the Senate. That's the good news. You want to know what the bad news is? In this new Biden administration, we just lost another truck driver. I thought that was pretty good.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Its destructive policies need to alarm you all. It would pave a glide path for China while placing a devastating weight on American companies. It will hammer American workers and American families and bruising inflation. You know, it wasn't just Republicans who warned you about those $2 trillion you spent earlier in your one-party control. We warned you it'd be inflation. It wasn't just us. Summers, who worked for Clinton and Obama, he warned you. But you felt you had to go forward. You felt it was good for the American public to pay more. And it will infringe on our fundamental American rights and liberties. Here are some of the worst provisions. First, this bill massively raises prices on all products made and manufactured in the United States. It's placing a massive burden on American workers and consumers at the very moment we are under attack by Chinese Communist Party and the companies they support. My friend sitting in the speaker chair right now, his district is in California just like mine. We see those hundreds of tankers sitting off our coast. One-party rule created a supply chain problem. One-party rule is going to empower China to even have more of those tankers. Because you're benefiting China over American workers. You're pushing American companies away from America. But I guess you did that in their energy as well. You just asked OPEC to produce more, and you'll ask China to produce more. This Made in America tax will send our jobs overseas, send the rest of our supply chain to China, and make us dependent on foreign producers, foreign countries, and foreign dictators. And every single American will pay for it every single day in every single purchase they make. Americans don't want to be punished. American employers and American job creators, but that's exactly what will happen with this vote. That alone is a reason enough to defeat the bill. Second, this bill provides amnesty for millions of illegal immigrants and visa overstays. It provides this massive grant of amnesty in the middle of the worst border crisis our country has ever seen. Indeed, the worst border crisis in recorded history, period. I know President Biden has been in office for more than 40 years. And I know he drove by El Paso one time in those years. But now is the moment he should go. He should see what the policies in a one-party rule in this nation capital has created. He should see it's not just those coming across the border. They're not coming just from Central America. We catch people on the terrorist watch list from Yemen and others. Ask yourself this. Why, if somebody's on the terrorist watch list from faraway land, why would they want to come to America? Who are they talking to? What do they have planned? It's not just people. It's fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing Americans more so than any other place. Where does it come from? China, through Mexico, and across the border. And many of these same Democrats who support amnesty also support giving illegal immigrant families near $500,000 each. If they're successful, $1 billion of hard-working taxpayer American money will be given to illegal immigrants. At the same time they have to pay more in taxes, They got to pay more for milk, more for gas. The answer from the White House, expect less for Christmas. I remember back in the late 70s, 1980, we had a president in office. I was in the 6th grade. He put a sweater on and told us to turn our heater down, and the best days of America were behind us. It's interesting. Some of that same language and same ideas seem to be coming from this White House. This is just outrageous. By comparison, if an American service member is killed defending this country, his or her family gets less than a $400,000 insurance payment. Those 13 Gold Star families that were killed by a suicide bomber, when Bagram was shut down before Americans were out, the prison was released, they killed 13 American men and women service members. They didn't get $450,000. But you're going to give more. This alone is reason enough to defeat the bill. How can you look at your constituents in the eye? With one-party rule, in 1 year, you created inflation we haven't seen in 31 years. You made gas price higher than it's been in 7. You're passing a bill that gives amnesty to illegals. You're going to reward people that came here illegally with $450,000 from hardworking taxpayer Americans. But for those who died, or those 13 Gold Star families, only get $400. You're charging more than $5 trillion in this bill. More than 2,000 pages. Enough. You're empowering China to be even stronger. This bill spends billions of dollars to hire 87,000 IRS agents. You're hiring 87,000 IRS agents, but you're not hiring one new person to protect the border. And what is the job of the IRS agents? They're going after Americans. And what Americans are they going after? Any one of you that spends $28 in one single day. If you go to Starbucks, if you simply put 3 gallons of gas in your car, and you go through a drive-through, maybe you get a $1 meal at McDonald's. IRS is coming for you. You're proud of that fact. That's what you held the CBO up for. How much money can we get from Americans by auditing them? You know what you just provided? Who you're auditing? You're auditing 1.2 million more Americans. You're bringing this bill on the premise that you don't trust Americans. And you know what Americans you're going after? 1/2 of those 1.2 million are people who earn $75,000 or less. That's what you're trying to pay this bill from. House is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
House will be in order. Members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. You know where 25% of those 1.2 million audits are going? To Americans who earn less than $25,000. Sometimes math is hard, Mr. Speaker. It will double the size of the most intrusive bureaucracy. So when you tell your children's children what you spent their money on, or you talk and you listen to the speeches tonight, Mr. Speaker, and you listened to the chairman of Ways and Means, where he was proud of the fact that he was going to build up these agencies. He's building up the IRS to go after every American who spends $28 a day. Mr. Speaker, that is not what America asked for. Make no mistake, under this provision, every single American is a target. In the eyes of the IRS, you're guilty until proven innocent. That alone is enough to defeat this bill. This bill imposes a tax to heat your home and puts American gas prices in the hands of OPEC. Mr. Speaker, I remember back when Jimmy Carter was president. I wanted to go visit my grandmother down in Southern California. I asked my mom and dad if we could go. House is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
Gentlemen to suspend. Gentleman from California is recognized.
This is the same president, Mr. Speaker, that had put a sweater on and told me to turn the heater down. That as Americans, we're supposed to expect less. I can look anywhere I want, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I cannot believe the amount of control one-party rule wants. They now want to dictate to a member of the floor of where I can look? Are you afraid of the basis of the information in the bill? Sir, I'm gladly to look at you, Mr. Speaker. There's a difference between addressing and looking. I know one-party rule wants to control every element of our lives. Mr. Speaker, this president put into effect that you could only get gas on the even days when your license plate ended that way. So no, I couldn't go see my grandmother that weekend. I wonder how many people in this winter may not make it through because they can't pay the price of their heating bill. Mr. Speaker, I know you wouldn't want that to happen. But maybe we could ask OPEC to produce a little more. Mr. Speaker, did you know that American natural gas is 42% cleaner than Russian natural gas? Mr. Speaker, they're importing Russian natural gas into America. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, our administration is allowing Putin to have a pipeline, but not America. You know who works on American pipelines? American workers. You know what they do with their money? They buy a home. They send the kids to school. They buy trucks. They buy cars. They stay in hotels. They eat out at night. But to that more than 1 million people who lost their job after President Biden was sworn in because he shut down a pipeline that would make America independent, but allowed Putin to produce more. That's going to make prices higher this winter. In other words, every moment you heat your home in the winter or cool it in the summer, you will pay more. And every time you start your car, you will pay more. That alone is reason enough to defeat the bill. This bill will make the labor crisis worse by fundamentally transforming the child tax credit into welfare without any work requirement, placing small business owners into direct competition with the federal government's unlimited printing press. This alone is reason enough to defeat the bill. Mr. Speaker, did we not learn that if we paid people more to stay home and not to go to work, that's what would happen? We learned that this year, did we not? Mr. Speaker, small businesses are hard. I started my first small business when I was 20 years old. There's 3 lessons I learned. I was the first to work, I was the last to leave, and I was last to be paid. I don't know if I could start that business again. And as the prices rose on everything, Mr. Speaker, the White House told us that's probably a good thing. Mr. Speaker, I haven't heard from MSNBC. It was good you had to pay more. People should. I don't know, they're going to have to pay more as they get audited. This bill abandons the long-standing bipartisan Hyde Amendment. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of people who've been in this chamber for quite some time. Mr. Speaker, I heard the chairman of the Ways and Means say he's been here more than 30 years. How many times has he voted for that Hyde Amendment? I don't know what changed this year. Maybe it was one-party rule. They're now allowing taxpayer-funded abortion on demand and violating the rights of the conscience of millions of Americans. This alone is enough reason to defeat this bill. This bill dictates our children's education standards, giving Washington the final say in what our children learn. Parents should make that decision, not government bureaucrats. I don't know if you dictate in this bill where children can look like you try to on this floor, but Mr. Speaker, I don't think that would be right either. Mr. Speaker, I listened to a prominent Democrat run for the office of governor again of Virginia, where he said parents should not have a right in their children's education. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, wealthy, poor, or the color of your skin. The moment you have that child, you will do anything. It's no longer what you become, it's what opportunities your children will have. It's not a place government should dictate. This nationalized, Washington-centered education will take away parents' choice of local control for parents across the country, instead of supporting and empowering. Mr. Speaker, remember when I talked about Terry McAuliffe, of what he said. This takes it a giant leap further by putting the federal government in full control of every education. I'm not sure if that's what the chairman of Ways and Means was meaning, why we should build up more bureaucracy, but it seems to fit in this bill. That alone is reason enough to defeat the bill. Mr. Speaker, from bank surveillance to bailouts, this bill takes the problems President Biden and Democrats have already created and makes them much, much worse. It's no secret that this bill is too extreme, too costly, and too liberal for the United States. My colleagues here in the House and in the Senate know it. And staunch liberals in the press know it as well. Just a few weeks ago, Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said, "Nobody elected Joe Biden to be FDR." This even spends more than FDR, while he was fighting a world war. Senator Manchin echoed that sentiment. This is not a center-left or a left country. We are a center, if anything, a little center-right. That being shown, and we ought to be able to recognize that. The New York Times editorial board, they even went further. I'm not a big fan of the New York Times. You know, I read a headline yesterday. Mr. Speaker, you know what it said? It was talking about your party. It said after the last Tuesday election, Democrats should not panic. Don't panic. Because they think it's already over. This bill is going to seal the deal. The New York Times, in a blistering editorial, said, "The Democratic Party has become distracted from crucial issues like the economy, inflation, ending the coronavirus pandemic, and restoring normalcy in schools." That's a quote, Mr. Speaker. That's the New York Times. The Times went on to describe this bill not as a solution, but as part of a sharp leftward push in the party, which, as they point out, most Americans don't want nor need. But despite these overwhelming warnings from moderates in their party, from liberals in the press, and from the American people at the polls, House Democrats are plugging their ears. Mr. Speaker, even if somebody looks at them and tells them what's in the bill, they want you to look away. Why? Why wouldn't they be proud of it? The Democrats aren't just ignoring what's going on, it's worse. They aren't even pretending to listen. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what a member of your own party, Congresswoman Spanberger, said recently. We're not willing to say, yeah, inflation is a problem, and supply chain is a problem, and we don't have enough workers in our workforce. We gloss over it. Clearly, the challenges Americans are waking up to every day are not concerns, Mr. Speaker, of the Democrats. And that is the fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans. House Democrats are focused on securing the Speaker's legacy. House Republicans are focused on solving the labor crisis. Mr. Speaker, House is not in order, Mr. Speaker. House is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Democrats are focused on mandates. House Republicans are focused on more freedom. House Democrats are focused on so-called equality. House Republicans are focused on quality education. House Democrats are focused on payoffs for illegal immigrants. House Republicans are focused on protecting the border. And House Democrats are focused on the Green New Deal. House Republicans are focused on lowering gas prices. When you look at those differences, it's no wonder the American people want new leadership. Mr. Speaker, the Democrats have no clue about the damage they've done to America with one party, with one rule, in 1 year. But if the Democrats won't listen to our fellow citizens, they'll have to listen here. Before I describe in greater detail the contents of this bill, let's take a step back and understand how we got into this mess. Mr. Speaker, we want to explain it to our children's children. When President Biden walked into the Oval Office on January 20th, 2021, he was handed every single ingredient he needed for unprecedented success.
Mr. Speaker, House not in order.
Gentlemen will suspend.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentlemen will suspend. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure, but I know Speaker Pelosi likes to remove people from committee if they don't reach to higher standards. I would be worried with the much interruptions that something may happen to somebody. So, Mr. Speaker, it's just, I'm worried for him. All President Biden had to do was nothing. Just think about where we would be today if he had done nothing. Our economy would be booming. Our supply chain would be intact. Our nation would be energy independent. Our children would be free from burdensome mandates. Our borders would be completely secure without those on the terrorist watch list coming across. Our dollar would be sound with no inflation. Our enemies would be on notice, not on the advance. But what happened instead? The last 10 months have been the most radical, the most extreme, and the most incompetent 10 months in American history. Mr. Speaker, it's one-party rule in 1 year that created all this. From their first day in office, the Biden administration has waged war on American workers, American values, American borders, American energy, and worst of all, American families. Mr. Speaker, I'll wait. We have never seen anything like this before. Biden terminated every successful immigration policy put into place by President Trump, triggering the largest wave of illegal immigration and of all history. Mr. Speaker, I know he put the Vice President in charge. Biden shut down the production of American energy and closed down American pipelines, surrendering the energy independence that was achieved during the Trump administration. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if you can remember back 10 months ago what the price of gas was, but I know every American can. When we were energy independent, it was a time when price was low. Today, the new Biden administration is making us reliant on foreign producers once again. He is literally begging OPEC to produce the energy that we could easily produce right here on our own shores. President Biden spent trillions of dollars on left-wing social engineering and printed money we did not have for projects we did not lead, leading to massive runaway inflation. Mr. Speaker, Larry Summers warned the nation about this in February. Mr. Speaker, in June or July, on a CNN town hall meeting, the President said he wasn't worried about inflation. Mr. Speaker, President Biden launched a campaign to dramatically raise taxes and regulations on our workers and manufacturers, destroying the amazing record of economic growth and job creation he inherited. Mr. Speaker, President Biden paid workers not to work and fired workers who were working because they wouldn't comply with his COVID mandates. These were the same people that were heroes a year before when we didn't have one-party rule. These were the same people who showed up to care for us and risked their lives. This supply chain crisis was dramatically worsened by the return to the failed tax, regulatory, trade, and foreign policies of the past. Mr. Speaker, and Biden used the FBI to target parents as domestic terrorists. Can you imagine that? To use your own FBI to go after parents, calling them domestic terrorists, without any evidence, simply in aiming to silence their First Amendment rights. A whistleblower just confirmed it. The President's rhetoric is dividing and inflaming us, rather than uniting us like he promised to do. And when his administration missteps, and it does often, Biden will blame the military, our allies, the Vice President, Congress, ordinary Americans, anyone but himself. That's not what leaders do. That's not what leaders do. Leaders take responsibility and then take action. As elected leaders, it's our job to take action that makes life better for all Americans. That's badly needed today, Mr. Speaker. But President Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress have failed at the basic duty. Let's look at how. President Biden has defaulted to a failed economic agenda of the past. This administration is plainly incompetent and is growing the government at the American people's expense. Americans are paying more for things they need today than they can afford. The latest CPI report is stunning news. Mr. Speaker, Consumer Price Index soared 6.2% in the last year under one-party rule in Washington, and almost 1% in October alone. It's the fastest pace in 30 years. You know what the common denominator is? One-party year, one-party rule for 1 year. Last week's inflation results undercut the idea that inflation is temporary or transitory. If you look under the hood, the numbers suggest that higher prices are not only being passed on to consumers, they're becoming the new normal. Even the politicians responsible for inflations now concede Americans will continue to live with it for at least another year. Make no mistake, inflation is becoming implanted in our economy. Too much money is chasing too few of goods. It all started with one-party rule from 1 year in Washington. You first started with $2 trillion, now it's $5 trillion. Americans are also witnessing shortages and supply chain problems too. Again, put politics aside and just look at the numbers. They're jaw-dropping. Americans are paying $20 or $30 more on groceries per week. Thanksgiving is coming. A time Americans gather together with family and friends. I'll guarantee you what they'll talk about around that table. This is the most expensive Thanksgiving they've ever had. I know those in Virginia and New Jersey. They realize what one-party rule in 1 year can do. Americans are paying more for gasoline, the highest price in 7 years. Mr. Speaker, that was the last time President Biden was down in the White House. To get to and from work, to drive their kids to school, or bring their elderly parents to a doctor's appointment. Americans are paying more for the materials their businesses need to operate, which means higher prices for consumers and less opportunity for wage increases. Inflation is a tax on all Americans. Inflation is robbing families of the future they deserve. Mr. Speaker, when Majority Leader Stinney mentioned this date and what our children's children will learn, they'll probably be the first generation in 30 years to learn about where inflation came back. It was one-party rule in 1 year. Americans are bracing for higher costs to come. They realize our economic future is grim under President Biden. I can wait, Mr. Speaker. The Biden administration has proven themselves untrustworthy when it comes to handling the economy. He pursues counterproductive policies and does not keep the promises he makes. As a candidate, President Biden pledged nobody making under $400,000 will have their taxes raised. Period. Bingo. Mr. Speaker, then on the eve of the election, he promised those making less than $400,000 wouldn't pay a penny more. And Mr. Speaker, and as president, he said, I give you my word, if you make under $400,000 a year, I'll never raise your taxes 1 cent. Each of these statements claim to have no exemptions, no qualifications, and no conditions. But here we are just 40 weeks later with one-party rule, and the President has already broken these promises to the American people. He has broken them because inflation is a tax on every American. President Trump and congressional Republicans took a better path. We cut taxes and left Americans with more of their hard-earned money in their pockets. Mr. Speaker, it led to the best economy in 50 years. When taxes go up through inflation or otherwise, Americans have less for utilities, prescriptions, and other things they need. And as prices continue to soar, the inflation tax is hitting hard-working middle-class families the hardest. What do you think is going to happen to inflation if this bill becomes law? It's only even going to be greater than the first $2 trillion this body wasted, Mr. Speaker. But here's the dirty secret. Most Democrats who vote for these policies won't be affected by the inflation rate. But seniors, working families, and those living paycheck to paycheck have been and will continue to be, even in a greater sense. Through no fault of their own, good, hard-working Americans are being hurt by their own government. And Mr. Speaker, that's just wrong. What is the White House and the liberal media's response? Telling Americans to just accept it. Telling Americans to just accept it. Lecturing us to be more like Europe, to build our bureaucracies, saying we should lower our expectations. Lowering expectations is what it means to be an American? I think not. No, this is a nation that conquered the wilderness, sent a man to the moon, and developed a life-saving vaccine to COVID-19 in less than a year. Americans don't lower expectations. We rise to the occasion. But under one-party rule, in 1 year, we have inflation we haven't seen in 31 years. We have gas prices higher than we've seen in the last 7. We have Americans stranded once again in the Middle East being held hostage. We have a border unsecured with fentanyl coming across increasing by 300%. Every city in America is a border city now. We have Putin with a pipeline, but a president who tells Americans no. We have a president who looks to OPEC to produce more, not American energy. Another area where President Biden and Democrats in Congress are failing. Mr. Speaker, they are right. The House is not in order.
Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, another area where President Biden and Democrats in Congress are failing is in the energy crisis. The American people want to afford gasoline, afford to heat their homes, and enjoy the upcoming holidays together. But what are they going to have? The most expensive Thanksgiving in the history of America. God forbid you have to drive for Thanksgiving because you're going to pay more. They don't need their government spending billions of dollars to subsidize car chargers or parks for the wealthiest people in the country. Mr. Speaker, it's not just Republicans who warn you. Mr. Speaker, even Jared Golden on November 17th, the member of the Democratic Party, he said, if you told me a year ago that the second biggest piece of the signature bill of this Congress was $280 billion in tax giveaways to millionaires, I'd have told you Republicans were in charge. Proponents have been saying that the BBB taxes the rich, but the more we learn about the SALT provisions, the more it looks like another giant tax breaks for millionaires. The fact that more people and organizations on the Democratic side aren't up in arms about this is wild. Mr. Speaker, maybe they're not up in arms because they just got the bill. And you allowed 10 minutes on one side and 10 minutes on the other to debate it. Mr. Speaker, I know at times it's hard to hear what's in the bill, but I think the American people have a right to know. Over the last 9 months, with one-party rule in this city, families have watched energy prices rise dramatically. West Texas Intermediate has doubled since President Biden took office, and a gallon at the pump costs 60% more. You know where that comes from? The hard-working taxpayers who have to live in a lower standard because of one-party rule in Washington. What does that mean in everyday life? It means that when families fill up at the gas station, they're seeing the highest price of a gallon of gas in 7 years. The last time Joe Biden was in office, Mr. Speaker, it means that from the factories making new products to the trucks that transport them to the retail stores to sell them, every part of the supply chain is paying more for energy. In every state in America, the average price of a gallon of gas is now over $3 for the first time in years. In our home state, Mr. Speaker, of California, the average price is over $4.50. And in some parts, it's as high as $7. Mr. Speaker, when I listened to the White House, I thought they'd be concerned. They said it was good. People should pay more. The pain is being felt beyond the pump too, Mr. Speaker. When families turn on the lights or heat their home this winter, they're expected the price of heat will be 54% higher. Mr. Speaker, when we're back in these chambers next year, I will wonder how somebody on a fixed income chooses to pay their heating bill or maybe go cold throughout the night. The energy crisis we face today is devastating for working families. Every dollar spent on gasoline is a dollar that isn't spent on groceries or other essential goods. And yet the reaction from this administration, who kneecapped oil and natural gas production by canceling new pipelines and freezing new lessees altogether. When asked if the United States would increase energy production, the Secretary of Energy told CNBC, "That's hilarious." Let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, that's not funny to the American public. That's not funny. They expect more from their leaders. They expect to look out for them, not Washington and one-party rule looking out for themselves. Go watch the video for yourself. It's just a few seconds. It perfectly captures the Biden administration incompetent contempt for the American people. Mr. Speaker, I can wait.
Gentlemen, suspend. Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, as I listen to the other side make their comments, not once did I say something. I disagreed with what they said, but I knew there was a moment in time when I could speak. I know, Mr. Speaker, that people might disagree with what I say, but we're in America. We're in Congress. I respect their position, even though I believe it's wrong. I respect that they may believe they want to build up these bureaucracies. I respect that they think spending more with inflation that somehow that won't cause more. I respect the idea that you shut down an American pipeline and allow Putin to have one and the prices go up. I think you're wrong, but I respect the right for you to say it. Mr. Speaker, not once did I look at Chairman Neal and tell him he couldn't look at me. Not once did I say something to him as he made his point. I don't know that, Mr. Speaker, just last week we set a record here, twice, by holding a vote open longer than this Congress ever has. We have changed more of the history in Congress than at any time of any Congress under one party and one rule. Members get fined $5,000 when somehow they walked through a magnetometer and they didn't hear. Do they get any recourse? No, they get a letter. Mr. Speaker, you may have set a record tonight. They're trying to control the House. I would think, Mr. Speaker, regardless, maybe they don't like hearing what's in the bill because they haven't read it. But I think, Mr. Speaker, the American public has a right to hear it. And, Mr. Speaker, I will tell you this. I don't care how many times I'm interrupted. I'm not going to stop till the American people hear it. Mr. Speaker, I know the Speaker says we have higher standards. I'm just hoping to see them. It also isn't funny for Californians like Scott Daniel, who runs Young's Commercial Transfer in Porterville, California. Scott told me that higher prices are making it hard to stay in business. Scott says, Mr. Speaker, my company alone will burn around 3 million gallons of fuel this year. And with fuel as expensive as it is right now, that adds $1 million to our bottom line, which makes it really hard to stay in business and keep it going. More importantly, it's immediately going to hit all of your food at the grocery store. Mr. Speaker, that's why your Thanksgiving in America is going to be the most expensive. The President talks about a world where every nation plays by the same rules. But when it comes to global elites, he makes sure the rules he applies to us don't apply to them. That's how socialism works. You see, they build up the bureaucracies. They spend more than they spent during World War II. It creates inflation. It creates supply chain problems. By the way, those who run society get ahead while those who make society run are pushed back. Republican knows there's a better path. Instead of wasting the energy potential in this country, we want to unleash it. We don't want to build up government. We want to build up American families. Instead of killing good-paying jobs, we want to create them. Instead of canceling the Keystone Pipeline, we want to complete it. Republicans will make America energy independent again through innovation so working families have affordable, abundant energy. So the answer won't come that you'll have to pay more. What they'll hear is they'll pay less and have more for themselves. You know, I just mentioned Scott Daniel, the owner of a commercial transportation company, who talked about how high prices are hurting his ability to do business and deliver goods. But that's not the only way Democrat policies are making it harder for business to survive. Another is the labor shortage. Walk down any main street if the crime's not too bad for you to do it. Or a city avenue in America, and I guarantee there'll be help wanted signs. Ask a waiter how many shifts she or he does in a week, and I bet they are covering from someone else because they're short-staffed. Ask if they had to take anything off the menu because the restaurant can't afford to find it anymore. I bet they have. This is what our small businesses are dealing with. As a former small business owner, I know these conditions aren't sustainable. And Mr. Speaker, if Democrats just cared to listen, they'd know that too. Instead, Democrats' idea of economic plan is to punish citizens who are producing for our country and working to support their families, while rewarding themselves and others for staying home. Americans don't deserve to bear the brunt of policies pushed by one-party rule in Washington, who will never feel the effects of them and who will receive a solid paycheck every month, even if they show up to vote or not. You know, Joe Biden's presidency has often been compared to Jimmy Carter's presidency. He's proven that comparison wrong every step of that way. That comparison now is unfair to Jimmy Carter. Mr. Speaker, when you study the history of America, in the late 70s, 1980, Americans were held hostage in the Middle East. Today, we have hundreds of Americans being held hostage in Afghanistan. Mr. Speaker, in 1979, we had inflation, taxing of every American. Today, we have inflation we haven't seen in 31 years. Mr. Speaker, in the late 70s, we were beholden to OPEC. Today, Mr. Speaker, we have a president who begs OPEC. Mr. Speaker, in the late 70s, President Jimmy Carter told us the heater had to go down because the price is going up and we needed to expect less as Americans. Mr. Speaker, today, the White House laughs if you ask them what their plan for America to become energy independent and lower a gas price. Mr. Speaker, in the late 70s, we were concerned about the Soviet Union, of the buildup in Europe. Today, Mr. Speaker, Russia is building up along Ukraine. They have more money for more soldiers because they got a new pipeline. Why America was denied. Mr. Speaker, after the 1980 election, those problems went away because you no longer had one-party rule in Washington, D.C. You had policies that didn't talk about building up a bureaucracy. You had policies that unshackled what held back the American worker. When those policies were enacted, a decade later, there was no longer a Soviet Union. There was no longer two Germanys. The Berlin Wall had collapsed. The shipyard workers of Poland understood. They knew that America was more than a country, that America's an idea. "32 years ago, 1 million students went to Tiananmen Square. They built the Lady of Democracy, Mr. Speaker. It looked just like the Statue of Liberty. They put it directly across from the portrait of Mao. They understood the greatness of America. Who doesn't remember that man standing in front of the tank when China was rolling in? He stood in front of that tank. When the tank moved to the right, he moved to the right. When the tank moved to the left, he moved to the left. Then he climbed on top of that tank. I cannot tell you his name, Mr. Speaker, because I doubt that he's alive. They respected America. They knew what America stood for. Mr. Speaker, now we have a bill that will bring more ships from China to America because it'll give them an incentive. Mr. Speaker, I hear your party talk a lot about a Green New Deal. 90% of all those are being built in China. So you're taking the hard-earned taxpayer of Americans. You're shutting down the policies you don't like, the energy you don't care for, and laying those off while making the gasoline price higher and taking their tax dollars and shipping it to China. And you're creating a greater inflation, Mr. Speaker. One-party rule for 1 year. Mr. Speaker, if there's good news for America, it's less than a year away. It's less than a year away. I tell you, America, help is on the way. History repeats itself. And oh, it's going to repeat itself big next November. Mr. Speaker, while the Democrats' action on our economy, such as anti-work welfare programs and massive, unneeded stimulus, has left Americans worse off, it's their inaction along the southern border that has left our country less safe. You see, Mr. Speaker, it wasn't just Americans left behind in Afghanistan. It was billions of dollars of our military equipment. Mr. Speaker, do you realize that the Taliban has more Black Hawk helicopters than 2/3 of the NATO countries? More than Australia? Mr. Speaker, do you realize when Bagram's shut down and 5,000 of some of the worst human beings escaped? Mr. Speaker, do you realize by the Biden administration of opening up our border, more than 160 countries of people have come across that border? Mr. Speaker, they don't have to wear a mask or be fined. They don't even have to be tested. The government actually pays them for a trip somewhere in America. Mr. Speaker, I'll wait till we're in order.
Gentlemen will suspend. Gentleman's recognized.
I appreciate you, Mr. Speaker. Inaction on the southern border. Mr. Speaker, almost every single Republican on this side of the aisle has been to visit the border, almost more than once. Mr. Speaker, I heard the president, who's been in office more than 40 years, say he drove by El Paso one time. But Mr. Speaker, when we went to the border earlier this year, after one-party rule in Washington that changed by executive order, I can wait, Mr. Speaker. They can finish their conversation. You can finish. No, you can finish. Don't lower your mask, you'll get fined. You're going to get fined. I'm just warning you.
Gentlemen will suspend.
Mr. Speaker, I know you hold the gavel, but I heard from your side of the aisle telling me when to speak, where to look, and what to do, and interrupted me many times. I've heard your speaker talk about a higher standard. I'm waiting to see it, Mr. Speaker. Are you going to laugh too, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I know, Mr. Speaker, I know your side of the aisle has no problem.
Okay, this is Andrew Kraft here with Live Now from Fox, and we have been listening to a marathon-long speech by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, going on well over an hour now. And because he is in the leadership, he's allowed to speak for as long as he wants during this debate preceding the vote on the Build Back Better Act, going over all the things Republicans do not like about the Biden administration's agenda. So many different topics, a lot of talking points. Fiery words there from McCarthy. Let's listen back in.
We interviewed the families and asked how long they've been on the road. They said ever since President Biden told us to come. Ever since President Biden told us to come. As we sat with those brave men and women of our border protection, we watched what they had to do, the job they were doing day in and day out, the conditions, when COVID was rampant and nobody being tested. And we went up along the line against the wall. This is important, Mr. Speaker. I think people should listen. And I'll show you the point why. As we talked to the border agents, they told us they've seen something they've never seen before. where people would rush the wall. So everybody would go there, then they'd come the other way, the cartel, bringing fentanyl across. They said they'd never seen anything like it. And I asked them, I listened to the vice president.
Gentleman's recognized.
One party rule, 1 year. As I sat and talked to the border agents, they told me of the border cities that had to close their schools because the cartels coming through and shooting. Of the ranchers who are having their houses burned or their grandchildren kidnapped. Then they said something so shocking, I had to ask them twice. You see, I heard the vice president say, this is just Central America problem. I said, is that really what's happening? No, they told me people were coming from 160 countries. They said they just caught people on the terrorist watch list. I came down. We did a press conference. In the press conference, I mentioned that we had caught people on the terrorist watch list from Yemen. You remember the USS Cole? The American Navy ship that was bombed? Or maybe you need to refresh the memory of real recently. You know a U.S. embassy that was overtaken? No, I'm not talking back in Iran in '79. I'm talking about the comparison to today. As that I said that to the American public. I respect all of you. You come here because you want to legislate. I expect you would be shocked too. That you'd probably call me up. What can we do? You want to protect your constituents? I know you do. But Mr. Speaker, there was a member of the Democratic Party on the Intel Committee, tweeted, said I was lying. Said he gets the same intel as I do because I'm on the Gang of Eight. Interesting, when I put the facts out, I don't know, maybe the mail's slow. I never once heard him apologize. Or worse yet, I've never once heard him say, how can we stop it? How can we stop it? I didn't even see an amendment added to this bill. Think about that for one moment for the American public. You are spending more money than we spent to end World War II. You're hiring 87,000 IRS agents. Not one Border Patrol agent. Not one new dollar. You're providing money for amnesty. You're providing money, $450,000, for people who came here illegally. And you're taking it from American hardworking taxpayers. But you do nothing to stop those on the terrorist watch list from coming across this border. Nothing. There has been nearly 1.7 illegal border encounters at the southern border since President Joe Biden became president. And our border czar, Vice President Kamala Harris, still has no plan to support our border patrol. Now let's put this in perspective. There has been more illegal border crossing between the months of February and October under Joe Biden than in 2018, 2019, and 2020 combined. So when somebody asks me, what does it mean if you have one party rule for 1 year? You get more illegal crossings simply from February to October than you did in 2018, 2019, and 2020, all combined. What do you think's going to happen after the billions of dollars you spend in this bill providing amnesty? That number will look small to you. But I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, some people say, let's wait and see what the CBO says. So when the CBO comes back and tells you, you got millions more, it's okay, we'll still vote. Let that sink in. What's the Biden administration reaction? They're now considering paying illegal immigrants $450,000 per family. An action that President Biden admits would incentivize more people to come over illegally. Mr. Speaker, when we tell our children's children about this night, we'll tell them that's where their future went. When they ask us why do they pay such high taxes, we'll remind them about this night. Because we built up our bureaucracy. Mr. Speaker, you're actually celebrating this bill. You're actually celebrating this bill. That's more than some of the 9/11 victims received. Can you think about that? How do you explain, Mr. Speaker, as my friend Steny Hoyer said so proudly, mentioned today for our children's children, how do we explain that those that were killed on that fateful day of 9/11 received less than those who came across illegal? It's okay, I'll be here a long time.
House will be in order.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry if it...
Gentlemen will suspend. Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I've got to apologize to you. I think I'm upsetting people on the other side of the aisle when I tell them what's in the bill. They just yelled at me that they're leaving. I apologize. Mr. Speaker, nobody on this side of the aisle wrote this bill. I thought that was going to be different, Mr. Speaker, because I took President Biden at his word. I took him at his word when he said he was going to get COVID under control. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, more Americans have died this year than last year under COVID. Mr. Speaker, the $450,000, that's more than some of the 9/11 victims received. It's more than the next of kin receives in insurance of those 13 Gold Star families that got killed by a suicide bomber who was in the prison of Bagram. Mr. Speaker, I watched in disbelief as President Biden said he'd do nothing different. I watched in disbelief, Mr. Speaker, when he had a press conference and he told Americans it was safe to come to the airport. In less than 30 minutes, you were on that conference call too, Mr. Speaker, with the Secretary of State, Joint Chiefs said no, it wasn't safe to come to the airport. Mr. Speaker, there are many people that have served this nation, served in the armed services and on both sides of this aisle. I have never watched members work so hard to get the American hostages out of Afghanistan to only be shut down by our own State Department. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you of a personal story. Mr. Speaker, I picked up the phone one morning when this first started, and I called the regular number to the White House. And I said, I'd like to talk to the President about what's happening in Afghanistan. The White House recently called, wanted to know if it was really me. To the President's credit, he called me back. I said, Mr. President, I know you're trying to hold this deadline for the Taliban, but what about our allies? What about those from the UK and France who fought side by side, not because their country was attacked, but because we were attacked? He told me he wasn't going to budge. I said, Mr. President, there are thousands of Americans that are held there that can't get out. He said, Kevin, no, the number's much smaller. I said, Mr. President, what is the number then? Oh, it's just smaller. I've watched the president look America in the eye and tell us he would not leave till every American's out. What do you say to those Americans that are still stuck there? The last time we felt like this, Jimmy Carter was president. Mr. Speaker, what does it say to those Gold Star families? Mr. Speaker, I had one in my office, a father who had his daughter, who wasn't even supposed to be there but volunteered. She was an electrician. Just days before, you see photos of her holding a young child. She told her sister, I'm going out in front of the wall because you can't believe it. Someone needs to be there for them. She wasn't supposed to be out in front of that wall. When that suicide bomber that was locked up in Bagram, that never should have got out, that we never should have shut down, killed 13 of the finest Americans we know. You know what this bill does? Nothing for them. It gives more money to an illegal person who crossed this border. I'm sorry. Americans expect more. Our priorities should be different. These people risk their life every day for us. Just let that sink in to your children's children. One-party rule for 1 year has brought us inflation we haven't seen in 31 years. Gas prices the highest it's been since the last time President Biden was down at the White House. A Thanksgiving that's going to cost you more at any time in your life. A border where 1.7 million encounters. A border between February and October that more people have crossed than 2018, 2019, and 2020 combined. And Mr. Speaker, the closest the president has ever been to the border in 42 years is to drive through El Paso. Mr. Speaker, a vice president who is the czar of the border. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This is the safety of this nation. What do you think's going to happen to that border when you provide $1 billion in amnesty? What do you think's going to happen when you reward people with $450,000? Where do you get the money? From the hardworking taxpayers of America who have less to give. But you know what? They're going to have to give more because you're hiring 87,000 IRS agents to come after them. 1.2 million more audits. And half of all those 1.2 are going after Americans who make $75,000 or less. That's what you based this entire bill on. That's what you waited for the CBO to tell you. How much money can we get from them? How is that possible? The payments for illegal immigrants is just the latest data point in a much larger trend of failures on this border. Cheered on by left-wing activists, President Biden and Vice President Harris have presided over the greatest series of border security blunders in American history. Mr. Speaker, if 160 different countries have had people come across that border illegally, if we have caught people on the terrorist watch list, if a suicide bomber got out of Bagram and in 1 week killed 13 American soldiers, do you think they know how to get into America? Do you think they know where to go? Maybe they have to go at night. They got a better chance now because they've got night goggles that we had. They got Black Hawk helicopters. They have more Black Hawk helicopters, the Taliban, than 2/3 of our NATO countries. They have more than Australia. And that phone call with the president, you know what he told me? Oh, Kevin, we're going to have a lot of leverage with the Taliban because they're going to need help running their country. Why don't you tell that to the hundreds of Americans that are still there trying to get out? And every time there's a member on this side of the aisle that goes upon themselves because they care about their constituents and they try to get that American out, the State Department attacks them. You try to criticize them, they ruin their own life. And Mr. Speaker, even in our own hearings, I respect greatly anyone who served in uniform, and you have some tremendous members on the other side of the aisle I have. And I watched them question the Secretary of State and still not get an answer. Mr. Speaker, to that member on your side of the aisle that sits on Intel, that said I wasn't telling the truth, that we were catching people on the terrorist watch list, that has done nothing about it since. I wonder if he should serve on Intel next term. Because America needs to be protected. For anyone who thinks they're not a border city, just look up how many deaths you have in fentanyl. And let me tell you where fentanyl comes from. It comes across that border, but it comes from China. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you another story. I have a friend who serves in the Senate. Right before COVID, he was on a Codell with other senators. And he was sitting and having a communication, maybe you've experienced this as well, with a military general in the Chinese Communist Army. You know what that general said to him? America, you're weak. You're weak, America. You're weak because you believe in God and you take fentanyl. Fentanyl has increased 300%. Only because the border is not secure. There is no city in America that is safe. This is deadly. They've handed the border over to the cartels, unleashing these monsters onto our people. And they compromised our national security. Answer me this question, Mr. Speaker. If somebody's on the terrorist watch list, and Mr. Speaker, they entered our state of California. They haven't entered one. They weren't together. They came on different days. And you know right now, if you're a member of Congress and you ask them how many more you got, they don't want to tell you. Just as they don't want to give us the number of how many Americans are still stuck there. They're hoping if we don't pay attention anymore, we'll forget. I promise you this, we will not forget. And we will not stop. Here is what the National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd told us, and I quote, "This administration says it's just Central American countries. But in just 1 week in Yuma, Arizona sector, we've seen people illegally enter from countries like Egypt, Russia, Armenia, Georgia, Haiti, Portugal, and Uzbekistan. There's no better time for them to come into our country than now." I didn't think Egypt or Russia was in Central America. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to offer this invitation. We got Thanksgiving coming. We're both from California. Why don't we invite the Vice President to come down to the border with you and I both, and let's take a tour. And while we're there, let's go to the Port of LA and Long Beach and talk about the supply chain. Let them see that these ships that are waiting and coming in, when they unload, they go back empty to pick up more from China. They don't load American products. Now, it may take a little while to get from the border of San Diego up to Long Beach, so we may have to stop to get gas. I'll split it with you because I know it's not cheap. But I'm willing to make that offer. These patrol members along the border, they bear the brunt of dangerous policies. While the Democrats act like there's nothing going on, Texas Mayor Don McLaughlin told us, Mr. Speaker, just a few months ago, nearby cities are expected to see an inflow of migrants much larger than the size of the towns themselves. He said, and I quote, "We're not equipped in our area to handle this. Our resources are strapped as it is because of the pandemic." The mayor said his own town will try to quarantine COVID-positive migrants in hotels. But when they come back to check on them or bring them food, some of the migrants are gone. You know, that's just not here. You know, when we departed Afghanistan, a lot of people got on that were never searched or gone through any process. We put them on military bases in America. Some just depart. Some people have already been arrested for crimes they created. When we heard from our constituents that were stuck in Afghanistan, who said they went to the airport because they watched the president tell them, and the Taliban grabbed their papers, tear them up and shoot at them. Or they're hiding in the halfway houses, and the State Department denying, just letting them get across the border so they can get out. Aside from the health risks, these circumstances create physical risks for innocent bystanders. There are not enough officers or agents to handle the intake and regular patrol, so the issues are spilling onto the streets. Now, I'm sure in your committees, Mr. Speaker, as you went through this bill, as you knew you were going to spend more than at any time in American history, because the Chief of Staff to the White House, and many times, Mr. Speaker, people refer to him as the Prime Minister, he said this is twice as big in real dollars as the New Deal. You must have thought somewhere when you saw these statistics, it's okay, we've got so much money, let's put some and help those border agents. I'm sure somebody raised that issue, did they not? It must have been voted down because it's not in the bill. But whoever raised their hand and said, let's spend $1 billion to give people amnesty, that made it in. The only thing I question, Mr. Speaker, why did you stop there? Because there's going to be billions more coming. You were able to do in one-party rule in 1 year, just between February and October, more than everybody's been able to do in the 18, 19, and 20 combined. Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if that's what you talk about, building bigger bureaucracies, but this bill does it. Mayor McLaughlin said they have about 2 to 3 car chases a week back in 2019. Then none for a few weeks. Now it's every single day. Roughly 10 to 12 high-speed car chases per week. He says, and I quote, "It's escalating. We've had houses broken into. We had to put our schools on lockdown because they're armed out in town near these schools. When that happens, then we have to pull all the officers out on manhunts. How would you like to represent a city that every single day, roughly 10 to 12 high-speed car chases? I remember on the news when there was one, the whole nation would watch. They don't even put them on because they're every day. But where are they running by? And it's not a car chase, just a cop chasing them. It's a cartel with weaponry. They're going by schools. In America, in American schools, they have to shut down because you opened the border. You do nothing to protect it in this bill. You only incentivize more people to come. Did you put any money in here for car chases? Did you put any money in here for the schools? I hope you put money in here for drug treatment. Because, Mr. Speaker, there's sure a lot of fentanyl coming across that border. He told us recently that just last spring, they had to put schools on lockdown 48 times. Think about that. Your child goes to a school, just in spring, 48 times they're on lockdown. You think your child feels safe? You think your child's learning? What do you think those parents are going to think when they hear about this bill? I don't think they could just leave the chambers. I think they'll probably want to come to a school board meeting. Maybe the FBI will investigate them for terrorism because they care about their children's safety. One-party rule in 1 year has brought America to this. Our children's education and lives are being interrupted nearly 50 times in just a few months. That's in America. When personnel and resources are pulled from one area to another along our border community, it leaves families like Russell Johnson's in danger. You see, Russell lives on a ranch with his family in New Mexico, just miles from the border. I'm proud of my family. My family immigrated from Ireland and Italy. They worked on a railroad, and they became a cattle rancher. It was a tough life. My grandfather got married, lived with his brother on the ranch, but the ranch didn't make enough to pay for both. So he went back to working on the railroad. To make money as a rancher, they never had to worry about a cartel. They just had to worry if it rained enough or if the cattle price was high enough. Russell Johnson, it's remote, and it gets little service where he lives, making it a prime place to illegally enter the country. This is what Russell told us. With the way things are right now, we don't let our kids play outside by themselves. They can't play outside by themselves. This isn't Chicago. This is on a cattle ranch. There's no telling who they might encounter while they're out there. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to invite Russell Johnson to come to D.C. And I want to invite anybody on the other side of the aisle that votes for this bill. And I would ask you to take his questions. I would ask that you point out in this bill, where does it protect his children? As an American. I don't think he'll argue that you're going to cost him more. You see, the interesting thing is, I'm okay paying taxes if they go to something. Richard Neal says it's going to build a bigger bureaucracy. Not along the border, it's not. It's tearing down walls. Schools are closing. You know, for the first time in the country, Mr. Speaker, this generation doesn't believe they'll be better off than the generation before them. And this bill almost guarantees it. They're guaranteed they're going to have to pay more and get less. I'll be sure and let you all know of that date. You're celebrating the bill. Celebrate with Russell and tell him where he's better off. Just think for a moment that in America, children can't play outside on their own property for fear of their safety from cartels and traffickers. I'm not talking about the cities where you defunded the police. I'm talking about remote cattle ranches. In a place I think every American dreams they could retire one day, on a ranch. Build back. You're going all the way back to the Westerns, I guess. People have to fend for themselves. I can't believe that's America. I don't accept it. I know we're better than that. I know some of you are mad at me, think I spoke too long. But I've had enough. America has had enough. Not only do communities at the border deserve protection, the selfless men and women of our Border Patrol deserve more support to do their jobs. I don't know if you've been down to tour with them. If any of you are going, you want to make it bipartisan? I'll go. I know a lot of people on this side of the aisle will go with you. Because we think it's an American problem, that we want to solve it together. But when someone comes across the border, and you have the children, it's interesting, Mr. Speaker, when it became one party with 1 year, you change the definition, they're no longer cages. Still the same place. But it's the border agents who have to go off the border and inside to care for them. So the border's less secure. And now you're providing more money for them to come, less agents there, and it's just a spiraling effect. You know, between inflation, gas prices, the border, crime, there's a common denominator. One-party rule in Washington for 1 year. U.S. Border Patrol members from the Southwest Division of the border alone saved 4,920 lives in 2019. 5,071 lives in FY20. 12,833 lives in 21. And 836 in 22 so far. Why don't we pass a bill to honor our Border Patrol agents? Why don't we bring them here to Washington? Better yet, why don't we go to them? It's our job to secure the border. You're spending trillions of dollars. You know what you're spending money on? Not to build the wall. You're taking taxpayer money on material they already have there and paying them not to build it. So Russell Johnson's children can't play. That's what you're taking taxpayers' money for. That's why you're hiring more IRS agents to audit more Americans to get more at them, because you don't trust that they're honest. There's not a day that doesn't go by. Just this week, of a 5-year-old child all by himself. You know, one of the trips down the border, I was talking to this Border Patrol agent. I was asking her about her job. You could tell the stress that she has felt. to work under these conditions, the threat of the cartel, the crime coming across, the families, the children. And she told a story of 3 young children she saw out in the distance. The oldest was 5, the next was 3, and the other was 11 months. I said, where was the parent? There was no parent. Well, what crowd was she with? No, they were all alone. If she had not found them, they would not have lived. So let this sink in. You're encouraging more of the to come. People don't make it all the time. People are raped. Human trafficking happens because they don't have the money to pay the cartel. Then when they come to America, they have to work to keep paying them. You're incentivizing that. And while you incentivize that, you make Americans unsafe. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, it's something that the just administration does in the cabinet or everywhere when they're asked a question. I know what the Secretary of Energy did when she asked about how to lower prices. She just laughed. But I remember, Mr. Speaker, when Vice President Kamala Harris was asked about the border. She has a very definite laugh. You know what her answer was? Well, I haven't been to Europe either. Well, she could go to Europe because people from Europe are coming across that border too. She'd go to Russia, Egypt, Yemen. She'd go around the world. Now, speaking of safety and security, these hardworking Americans being ignored by Democrat politicians. Let's talk about law enforcement. Because, Mr. Speaker, I remember on this floor in the last Congress of the chant, defund the police. I remember what this city looked like. I remember one night looking out and the rioters. I remember the speaker yelling about having the National Guard at the Lincoln Memorial. That spread across America. I can't keep count of how many people die in Chicago in one weekend. In Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered and shouldn't have been. When they decided to defund the police, it was on the ballot 2 weeks ago on Tuesday. It failed. Mr. Speaker, you and I have known each other a long time. We're competitive. I know you didn't get to Congress your first time out. We beat you that first time, but you came back. You're competitive. You work hard. It's not my job to give you political advice. But I don't know if you've seen the numbers. It's nothing we're doing. You know, 110 polls have been taken since 1981. Never have they reflected what they reflect today. But it's just not that. You see, we all have the pleasure and the honor. Less than 13,000 people have ever had this honor to represent in this chamber. The debates that have taken place here. And on the biggest of items, it's always bipartisan. The president promised he'd bring that back. There hasn't been one time. Not one time. Tonight is not bipartisan. You didn't work with anybody. You're spending the most money ever spent on a single bill in the history of America, the greatest nation ever on the face of the earth. And your children's children will read, it was one party, rule for 1 year. Mr. Speaker, I watched the American voter in states that are blue states overwhelmingly reject, from Seattle to Minneapolis to New York to New Jersey to Virginia, to reject exactly what's in this bill. Look, it would be beneficial to me to cheer you on. I care too much about this country. If you turn back now, you might be able to survive. But I know what will be more important: America could survive. But I know you're down on this floor, just 10 minutes debate on each side, and the bill just came. I know my friends on the other side of the aisle are mad. I know some of them got to get to Puerto Rico for a fundraiser. I'm sorry. That may be one of them. Sounds like a couple of them. This is too important to America. It is a moment in time. At a time when violent crime is spiking nationally, cities under Democratic rule have or are seeking to defund their police departments. It's just another move lacking common sense, logic, or leadership. In Los Angeles, I represent a little of it. I don't think you have any of it, right? Just outside. You're to the east of it. The LAPD budget is set to be cut by $150 million. A decision triggered by widespread protests. My son just moved to San Francisco with his new wife. You know what he told me? He said, "Dad," he had to buy a car, moved up there. "Dad, I'm excited. I got car insurance." I didn't think that was a big deal. "But my street is the safest street in San Francisco. I got a little saving." You know what people put on their windows in San Francisco on the cars? "Please don't break the window again, nothing's inside." You know, if you want to walk to a Walgreens in San Francisco, it's closed. Because it can't make money. Because people just come in and take. That's how you build up bureaucracy. That's how you cut police. In Austin, the city council voted to cut up $150 million from its police department. You know, Mr. Speaker, you and I have seen a lot of business in California leave and go to the city of Austin. A good friend of mine, Elon Musk. He built a car company when others were already developed. Said he couldn't do it. He risked his wealth to do it. It's pretty dang successful. A state rep in California, I can't use the language they used on the floor, it started with an F, tweeted at Elon because he wanted to expand his business.